Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This time we're tackling Jungian archetypes.
Oh, yeah. These are some pretty deep waters.
Definitely. And today we're focusing on the mother, the child, and the wise old man.
Some classic Jungian figures right there.
We'll be using excerpts from Archetypes and the Collective Unconscious.
Oh, very nice. A classic.
We'll try to figure out what Jung really means by these archetypes
Right.
and see if there's anything we can actually learn from them.
Love it. Let's dive in.
Okay, so what's really interesting to me is how Jung doesn't just see these as like symbols.
Right.
He thinks they're active forces shaping our thoughts and our behaviors,
Absolute.
and even our dreams.
Oh, yeah. Definitely dreams. That's where they really come alive. Jung starts by describing
Okay.
this Protestant theologian who keeps having this recurring dream
Uh-huh.
about a dark, mysterious lake.
A lake, huh?
Yeah. And he's just terrified to even approach it.
Ah, interesting.
And Jung argues that this fear is a totally natural reaction to the unknown.
Okay, so like we're all a little afraid of the dark.
In a way, yeah. But in this case, it's not just any dark. It's the unconscious mind.
Okay, I see. So we're already getting into some deep symbolism here.
We are.
But what does this scary lake have to do with the wise old man?
Well, that's the thing. That lake, as scary as it seems, is also full of potential.
Oh, I see.
And the figure Jung sees emerging from it is the wise old man archetype,
Okay.
a source of wisdom and guidance. But here's the catch.
Uh-oh. What's the catch?
We can only access this wisdom if we're willing to face those shadowy parts of ourselves.
Symbolized by the lake, of course.
Exactly. It's like the unconscious is this hidden treasure chest,
Okay.
but it takes real courage to open it.
I love that. So what does this wise old man actually look like in the real world, though?
Well, Jung gives this fascinating example
Okay.
of a schizophrenic patient
Okay.
who had this, I guess you could call it a delusion
Uh-huh.
about the sun's phallus creating wind.
Oh, okay. That's a new one.
I know, right? At first, it just sounds completely bizarre.
Yeah.
But Jung connects it to ancient symbolism around sun gods and wind,
Ah, interesting.
and shows how even these seemingly nonsensical ideas can tap into these universal patterns.
Okay, so it's like there's this deep well of knowledge
Yeah.
that we're all connected to.
Exactly. It's the collective unconscious at work.
I like it. Okay, so are we talking about Merlin, Gandalf, Yoda, those kinds of figures when we say wise old man?
Those are all perfect examples. They represent wisdom, guidance, a connection to something bigger than us.
I love it.
Jung even points to Nietzsche's Zarathustra as a more modern example,
Oh, right?
showing how this archetype transcends time and culture.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just a character in a story.
I see.
It's a part of us, urging us towards self-discovery.
That's such a good way to put it. Okay, let's shift gears a bit.
Sure.
Let's talk about the mother archetype. And I know you mentioned earlier
Yeah.
that it's not just about our personal moms, right?
Exactly. Jung makes that very clear. This one's a little more complicated.
Definitely.
The mother archetype isn't just about our individual mothers.
Uh-huh.
It's a universal symbol representing the source of all life.
Wow, okay, that's big.
Right. Think about the earth, nature, even the very act of creation itself.
Oh, wow, yeah.
It's that deep connection to existence that we all share. That feeling of being held and nurtured by something larger than ourselves.
So how does that actually play out in our lives, though?
That's a great question.
Does it mean we're all supposed to be super nurturing?
Well, not necessarily. And Jung actually warns against projecting the entire mother archetype onto our personal mothers,
Oh, okay.
because doing that can lead to, unrealistic expectations
Right.
and unhealthy dependence on both sides.
Wow, so it's about finding that balance.
Exactly. We need to recognize the positive aspects of the archetype,
Okay.
that nurturing protective energy, without forgetting our own individuality.
Right.
And remembering that our moms are human too.
But they're not goddesses.
Exactly.
Okay, so what happens if we don't find that balance?
Well, that's when the shadow side of the mother archetype can emerge.
Oh, boy.
We might become overly possessive or clingy or really struggle to separate our own identity from our moms.
Makes sense. So it's all about finding that middle ground.
Right, that delicate balance between connection and independence. And this actually ties into another really powerful archetype, the child.
Okay, yes. The child. Now, a lot of people, I think, when they hear child archetype, they think it's just about our childhood.
Totally understandable.
But Jung sees it differently, right?
He does. For Jung, the child is about potential.
Really?
Yeah, it represents the future, that capacity for growth and renewal and transformation within each of us.
Huh. So it's not about the past at all. It's about what's ahead.
Exactly.
That's interesting.
It is. Jung points to the child god motif in mythology to illustrate this. Think about figures like the Christ child, or Horus, or even baby Superman.
Oh, right. Okay, I get it.
They embody this potential for greatness, and it's potential that comes from humble beginnings.
I see. So we're not talking about literal children here.
Well,
We're talking about something deeper within ourselves.
You got it. The child archetype is an invitation to look forward. Embrace the possibility of becoming something new,
I love that.
evolving beyond our current limitations.
Very cool. But like the mother, I'm guessing the child also has a shadow side.
It does. Everything does, right?
Yay.
So imagine someone who's terrified to grow up, afraid to take responsibility, to step outside their comfort zone.
Oh, yeah, I know that type.
They might cling to that childish dependence, get stuck in a cycle of arrested development.
So it's finding that balance again.
Always. Honoring the child's playfulness and openness, but still maturing, still evolving as individuals.
Gotcha. So it's about harnessing that energy, but not getting stuck in the past.
Exactly. And this actually reminds me of how Jung used symbols as tools for transformation. He had a patient who used drawing to connect with her unconscious.
Oh, yeah, I remember reading about that. Tell me more.
Well, her initial mandala, picture 1 in the source material, shows a black snake
Oh, wow.
and this overwhelming feeling of being trapped,
I see.
which at that time perfectly represented her psychological state.
Oh, wow, that's powerful. And Jung used the I Ching, right, to help interpret it.
You're remembering correctly.
That ancient Chinese philosophy, it's fascinating.
It really is.
It's like her inner world, these ancient symbols, it's all connected.
It is. It's all connected. And that's just scratching the surface.
Wow, I bet. So those symbols in her drawings, they acted like a bridge between her conscious and unconscious mind.
Exactly. It's like her unconscious was speaking to her through these images, offering clues to her inner world and her potential for growth.
Wow. And there are more drawings.
Oh, yeah. Pictures 7, 9, and 10 actually show her progress, how she started to integrate her unconscious content. But there's so much more to unpack there.
It sounds like we need another session to really explore those and the transformative power of symbols.
I agree. It's a whole journey in itself.
I can't wait. This is already giving me so much to think about. Okay, so last time we left off with Jung's patient who used drawing to explore her unconscious.
Right.
And we were looking at her initial mandala, picture 1, with the snake and that feeling of being trapped.
Yeah, really powerful imagery.
It was. But you mentioned picture 7, 9, and 10 show her progression, right?
They do. They're like a visual representation of transformation in action.
Okay, I like that. So if picture 1 is about feeling trapped, what happens in picture 7?
Picture 7, you start to see a real shift. There's still a sense of darkness there,
Okay.
but a golden light starts to emerge from the center.
Ooh, interesting.
Like imagine facing your shadow self, all those parts of yourself you normally hide or deny, and then finding a spark of hope within that darkness.
Wow, that's really powerful imagery.
It is, and it seems to be what this image represents.
Okay, so she's confronting those darker parts of herself, not just feeling trapped by them anymore.
Exactly. It's a step towards integration.
I love that. What about picture 9? Does that golden light keep expanding?
It does. In picture 9, the central image is a radiant sun. It's all about expansiveness, liberation. The colors are brighter, more vibrant.
Oh, wow.
She's even added new symbols.
Like what?
Stars, a moon, even some Chinese characters.
Oh, wow. The Chinese characters, that's interesting. We talked about Jung using the I Ching before. Is there a connection there?
There is. Those characters actually represent I Ching hexagrams.
Oh, wow.
Those ancient symbols of change and transformation.
So her personal journey is connecting with these universal patterns of energy and change.
It seems that way. It's a fascinating link.
It really is. Okay, so picture 10, you said it was different. What's happening there?
Well, picture 10 is where things get really interesting.
Hmm?
The central image is a crab,
A crab. Okay.
and it's right at the bottom of the mandala. Remember how the snake represented feeling trapped,
Uh-huh.
and the sun symbolized a breakthrough?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Well, the crab, with its sideways movement, it seems to represent a regression, a pulling back.
Okay, so almost a step backward. Did she hit a roadblock in her progress?
Not necessarily. Remember, transformation, it isn't always linear.
Right.
There can be setbacks, doubts, times when it feels like we're moving backwards. Jung actually saw these as natural parts of the journey.
Okay, so even the crab has a role to play.
Exactly. Every symbol, even the ones that seem negative, can offer valuable insights. It's about acknowledging the complexity of the journey and understanding that even regression can lead to deeper growth.
I like that. It's not all aha moments and breakthroughs. Sometimes you gotta go sideways.
Sometimes you do.
Yeah.
And this actually connects back to the wise old man archetype we discussed earlier.
Oh, how so?
Well, it's like the unconscious, maybe even the wise old man himself, is speaking to us through these symbols, guiding us towards a deeper understanding of ourselves, even when it's uncomfortable.
It's like a test of our courage.
You could say that.
Yeah.
And, we've been talking about these archetypes as personal,
Yeah.
but remember, they're also collective.
Right. What did you mean by that?
Well, Jung believed that somewhere deep in our unconscious, we all tap into this shared pool of images and symbols, a collective unconscious.
Oh, wow. So like a universal library of human experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And these archetypes are like the key characters or themes in that library.
I love that analogy. Okay, but if these archetypes are universal,
Yeah.
how do we become unique individuals? How does that work?
That's where individuation comes in.
Individuation,
Mm,
right? The journey of becoming a unique and whole individual.
you got it. And believe it or not, the mother archetype plays a crucial role here too.
Wait, I thought we were done with the mother. How does she fit into individuation?
Remember, we're dealing with a universal symbol, lots of layers of meaning. In this case, the mother archetype represents not just the source of life, but also the source of the self.
Okay, so where our individuality comes from.
Exactly. We start in this state of unity with the mother.
Okay.
And as we individuate, we move away from that unity to develop our own unique identities.
So like a cosmic umbilical cord we have to cut.
That's a great way to put it. But it's not about completely severing the connection. It's about finding that balance between our individual selves and our connection to something larger.
So we're still connected, just in a different way.
Exactly. We carry that imprint of that primal unity with us, even as we forge our own paths.
That makes a lot of sense. So the mother is about that initial unity,
Right.
and individuation is about finding our own unique path. Where does the child fit in?
Well, remember, the child isn't just about the past, it's about the future.
Potential.
Exactly. That potential for growth and transformation throughout our lives.
Mm.
And by tapping into that energy, we can continue to evolve.
So the child is the engine that keeps us moving forward.
Yeah, I like that. The spark of possibility that fuels our growth and transformation.
That's beautiful. And that brings us to another interesting concept, rebirth.
Rebirth.
Yeah.
Yeah, powerful one.
Like reincarnation. Are we going into past lives now?
Not necessarily. Jung was open to the idea of reincarnation, but he used rebirth, more broadly, to describe any process of profound psychological transformation, shedding old patterns, beliefs, identities, and emerging as a new, more integrated version of ourselves.
So like a psychological metamorphosis.
Perfect analogy. Like a caterpillar transforming into a butterfly.
Huh.
And it's not just a one-time event. It can happen multiple times throughout our lives.
Oh, wow. So every time we face a challenge or work through a difficult experience, we're essentially being reborn.
You could say that. It's about recognizing that potential for renewal within us.
This is incredible. I love how all these archetypes are coming together, weaving this tapestry of transformation. But Jung also connected the patient's mandala to alchemy.
He did.
And that's a whole other layer I want to explore. Most people think of alchemy as turning lead into gold, but there's a deeper meaning there, right?
Oh, absolutely. There's a whole psychological dimension to alchemy that Jung was fascinated by.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued. How does alchemy connect to all of this?
Well, the alchemists, they were obsessed with transformation,
Right.
not just of metals, but of the human soul.
I see.
They believed that by carefully combining and purifying different elements, they could achieve spiritual perfection.
So they were basically trying to create the philosopher's stone.
Exactly. That legendary substance that could turn lead into gold.
And Jung saw that as a symbol for the self, that integrated wholeness we're striving for.
You got it. The Philosopher's Stone became this symbol for the potential for transformation within each of us. And just like the creation of the Philosopher's Stone, individuation is a lifelong journey.
Right. It's not something that happens overnight.
Definitely not. It takes time, effort, and a willingness to really look inward.
This is all so fascinating, but it's a lot to take in. Where do we even begin to apply all of this to our own lives?
That's a great question, and one we'll definitely delve into further in our next segment. But for now, just remember, transformation isn't passive. It requires conscious effort, self-reflection, and a willingness to face our shadows and embrace our potential.
This deep dive has already given me so much to think about. I can't wait to explore how we can take all these insights and apply them to our own journeys of transformation in the final part of our discussion. All right, so we're back for the final part of our deep dive into Jungian archetypes.
Ready to bring it all home.
Absolutely. We've covered so much, the symbolism, the collective unconscious, even alchemy.
It's been quite a journey.
It really has. Now I'm ready to see how all these ideas can help us in our own lives.
Well, there are a few more pieces of the puzzle to explore, starting with the hero archetype.
Ooh, the hero. Now, when I think hero, I think, epic myths, movies, slaying dragons.
Of course, those
Uh,
classic heroic figures.
how does that relate to our everyday lives? We're not all out there fighting dragons.
That's the thing. The hero's journey isn't just about those grand adventures.
Okay.
It's a universal pattern of transformation that we all experience in different ways.
Interesting.
Think about any time you faced a challenge, overcame a fear, stepped outside your comfort zone to pursue something meaningful.
I see. So it's more about our internal battles.
Exactly. Those moments of courage and growth.
So what makes it a hero's journey then? What are the key elements?
Well, Jung identified several stages, often starting with a call to adventure.
Oh, like a challenge.
Yeah, something that pulls us out of our routines and into the unknown.
I see.
Then there's a descent into the underworld.
Oh, that sounds intense.
It is. It's about facing our shadows, those hidden parts of ourselves.
Like what we saw with the patient and her mandalas.
Precisely. Confronting those dark and doubtful places.
And is there light at the end of this tunnel? Does the hero make it out?
Of course. The hero's journey ultimately leads to a triumphant return,
Okay.
but not empty-handed.
Oh.
They bring back a boon, a gift, a newfound wisdom that benefits everyone.
I like that. Like Luke Skywalker returning from facing Darth Vader.
Perfect example. He comes back stronger, wiser, and able to restore balance.
So it's not just about personal growth, it's about using that growth to make a difference.
That's the hero's journey. And it's also tied to the concept of the self, that archetype of wholeness.
Oh, right, the self. How does the hero connect to that?
Well, the hero's journey isn't just about external goals, it's about integrating all aspects of ourselves.
Okay.
The good, the bad, the light, and the shadow.
I see. So it's about becoming whole.
Exactly. Embracing all parts of who we are.
And that makes us more relatable, right? Even the hero's struggle.
Absolutely. Their flaws make their triumphs even more meaningful.
So being a hero isn't about being perfect or invincible.
Not at all.
It's about embracing the messiness of being human.
Yeah, and using our challenges to grow and transform. And isn't that what individuation is all about?
You're right. Is the hero's journey just another path towards becoming our true selves?
You could say that, the blueprint for individuation, confronting our fears, overcoming obstacles, integrating the lessons.
So we all have that potential for heroism within us.
Absolutely. We all have dragons to face and gifts to share with the world.
That's really inspiring. We're all writing our own hero's journey in a way. But before we wrap up, there's one more concept I'm curious about. Synchronicity.
Oh yeah, synchronicity. One of those mind-bending Jungian ideas.
It really is, those meaningful coincidences that seem to defy explanation.
Exactly. You think of someone and they call you out of the blue.
Or you're struggling with something and the answer appears in the most unexpected place.
So the universe is trying to tell us something.
Right. Did Jung think there was more to these coincidences than just random chance?
He did. He saw them as evidence of a deeper connection between our inner and outer worlds.
So like a secret language the universe uses.
In a way. It's about recognizing that we're not just isolated individuals.
Oh.
We're interconnected. And these synchronicities are glimpses into that interconnectedness.
I'm definitely going to be paying more attention to those coincidences from now on. This whole deep dive has been incredible.
It's been a pleasure exploring these ideas with you.
I feel like I have a whole new way of seeing the world now. But for our listeners who are new to all this, is there one key takeaway they can use in their own lives?
Start paying attention. Notice the symbols and patterns in your dreams, your fantasies, even your everyday experiences. They might be trying to tell you something important about yourself and your journey.
Like the wise old man whispering secrets.
Exactly. The unconscious is always speaking. We just have to learn to listen.
What a perfect way to end this deep dive. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us. It's been an amazing journey.
The pleasure was all mine. Keep exploring and keep diving deep. The journey of transformation never truly ends.